She declared she wasn't anyone's property and walked away to be with her ex. A month later, she called me pregnant and alone, but I told her, live the life you chose, and close the door forever. I am 34, and for nearly 2 years, I had been in a relationship with my girlfriend, S. From the outside, our relationship might have looked like it was solid enough. We didn't have explosive fights, we didn't air our dirty laundry on social media, and we managed to navigate the day-to-day ups and downs without major drama. Things were not perfect, but they were comfortable. We understood each other's basic boundaries, or at least, I thought we did. There was a certain steadiness between us that made me believe we had a shared understanding of trust and respect. I wasn't walking around thinking everything was a fairy tale, but I believed in what we had built enough to feel secure in it. Then, one afternoon, she casually dropped a sentence into our conversation that changed everything. She told me she was planning a solo trip to another city for a week. She said it with the same tone you'd used to mention picking up groceries or going out for coffee. There was no request for my opinion, no genuine discussion about how I felt about it. Just an announcement, as if I were a roommate being notified of someone borrowing a mug. Naturally, I asked the basic questions. When? Where? Why? Asterisk, she answered without much detail, saying it would be sometime next month and the city was about 5 hours away. My mind did a quick calculation, and I couldn't ignore the obvious fact that her ex lived in that exact city. The thought hit me immediately, even if I didn't voice it right away. When I finally did bring it up, doesn't your ex still live there? She brushed it off with a light laugh, dismissing it as ancient history. But there were details that didn't sit right with me. She had already booked the trip without even mentioning it to me until after the fact. She was vague about where she would be staying and what she planned to do. This wasn't about trying to control her movements. This was about trust. And something in this scenario was setting off every alarm in my head. I told her calmly that I wasn't comfortable with it. I explained it wasn't about jealousy or ownership, but about the principle of respect in a relationship. She didn't argue or defend herself in that moment. She just rolled her eyes slightly and went back to scrolling on her phone. The next day, I saw a post on her social media that hit me harder than I expected. It read, "Oh, I am not anyone's property." She didn't tag me, but there was no doubt who that statement was directed toward. To her friends and followers, it probably painted me as some overbearing, controlling partner trying to cage her in. But the reality was that I had simply expressed discomfort about something that would make most people feel uneasy. I didn't engage publicly. I didn't post a response or try to defend myself online. Instead, I waited until we were alone to address it again. That evening, I told her calmly that I still didn't approve of the trip. I said, "If you want to travel somewhere, that's fine, but the way this has been planned, without discussion and with so many gaps, doesn't feel right to me." She looked at me for a long moment, as if measuring my words. She was used to me being easygoing, avoiding confrontation, letting things slide. This time, I was standing firm, and I could see she didn't like that shift. Something shifted in her expression, a wall going up, a calculated distance forming. 2 nights later, the topic resurfaced. We hadn't talked about it since my last calm refusal, so I assumed she might have dropped the idea or at least been rethinking it. But while sitting in the living room, she casually slipped it into conversation. "So, I'm still going next month," she said, eyes glued to her phone. I took a slow breath before answering. "I've already told you I'm not comfortable with this trip. I'm not dictating your actions, but I'm being honest about how it makes me feel." She put her phone down deliberately and looked at me. "You know what your problem is? You think you get to decide what I do. You don't. You're acting insecure." I kept my voice even. "It's not about insecurity. It's about respect. If I planned a week-long trip to a city where my ex lived without telling you until after it was booked, I think you'd have something to say too." She let out a short, dismissive laugh. "You're ridiculous. You know who never acted like this? Him." I felt my chest tighten, not because I was shocked she mentioned him, but because I knew exactly where this conversation was headed before she even continued. "He was mature and good to me," she said. "Not like you. You're just a child." The words landed with more weight than I wanted to admit. I had been patient through her moods, supportive through her stress, and steady when she needed space. Yet, in that moment, she reduced me to nothing more than a petulant child, all while comparing me favorably to the same man who had betrayed her and left her once before. Something shifted inside me then. It wasn't rage. It was clarity. "If you're not interested in me," I said slowly, "then please leave and don't show me your face again." There was no shouting match, no broken plates or slammed doors, just a line in the sand that I meant with every fiber of my being. She tilted her head, studying me like I was speaking a foreign language. For a brief second, I thought she might try to backtrack or soften the blow of what she just said. But instead, she leaned back, crossed her arms, and remained silent. Then, in a tone that was almost light, she said, "Okay, now I am free." She grabbed her bag from the couch, went into the bedroom to shove a few more clothes inside, and walked out the door. She didn't cry. She didn't hesitate. She didn't even look back to see if I'd stop her. And I didn't. Not because I wanted her to change her mind, but because I wanted to etch the image in my memory. A permanent reminder that when someone shows you they'd rather be elsewhere, you don't block the exit. For weeks after that, there was nothing. No calls, no messages, no updates from her directly. I avoided looking at her social media, but mutual friends mentioned she had taken the trip. I didn't ask for details. I didn't need them. Then, about a month later, my phone rang with a number I didn't recognize. Against my better judgment, I answered. It was her. Her voice sounded different, softer, hesitant, almost fragile. "Can we talk?" she asked. Before I could respond, she continued. "I went on the trip, and I was with him." She didn't need to say his name. I already knew. Then she said the words that made the situation crystal clear. "I'm pregnant." I leaned back in my chair, letting the words sink in. This wasn't a power play. This wasn't a victory lap. This was the first time I'd heard real vulnerability in her voice in a very long time. "I don't know what to do," she said quietly. "I thought I could handle things on my own. I thought I knew him better this time." Her voice cracked. I asked one question. "Where is he now?" The silence on the line was all the answer I needed. When she finally spoke, her words were strained. "He's gone. He left just like before." She began crying, not the loud, cinematic kind of crying, but the kind you can hear someone trying to suppress. Between shaky breaths, she said, "He cheated on me while I was there, with 2 different women. And then he told me I was a mistake. Please, please help me. I have no one else." I sat there in silence, remembering every word she'd thrown at me. "You're just a child. Now I am free. I'm not anyone's property." I remembered the social media post she made for the world to see. I remembered the bag she packed without a second thought. When I finally spoke, my voice was calm. "Live the life you chose," I said. "You made your decision, and I'm not accepting you back into mine." She drew in a sharp breath, as if she wanted to argue. But I didn't give her the chance. I ended the call. That was the last time I heard from her. Some people might say I was harsh, that I should have helped anyway. But this wasn't about a mistake. It was about a choice she made fully aware of the risks. And in making that choice, she made it clear where I ranked in her life. So I chose myself instead. I'm not angry anymore. If anything, I feel lighter. There's no wondering where I stand. No endless what-ifs. No temptation to reopen a door that was closed for a reason. Sometimes the hardest part isn't watching someone walk away. It's refusing to open the door when they come back knocking. Thank you for staying with me until the end. Hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more stories.